sorry. Before we get started, I have to let you know that we are in business. We are making beer in cider right now. So please, as we're walking around the brewery, I need you to be very mindful of your environment. Be aware of things around you. You notice that there's water on the floor in some spots. You'll see hoses stretched out. You'll see equipment out. So try not to bump or bang into anything. We don't want anybody getting hurt. If you get hurt, you can't drink anymore. And that's not good, right? So, to get started, we are going to head into the mill room to my right here, okay? Please watch your step. Plenty of room, back a minute. All right, get comfortable. We're going to be in here for about 2 hours. Just relax. This is where it all happens. All right, if you take a peek outside that window right there, you will see a very large corrugated steel grain silo. Am I correct? You see it out there? Yes. All right, inside that grain silo is about 40,000 pounds of barley. Okay? And the barley you would find out there looks something like this. It's very pale in complexion. Okay? This is what we call a base barley. It's a Pilsner style barley. This will start many of the beers that we make here. Not all of them, but many of them. Now, barley is to beer essentially what grapes are to wine, okay? And when we start with this base barley, that'll help get things started, but we are also going to add other types of barley. Now, there are hundreds of different styles of barley you can use. Now, obviously, this is much darker in complexion because it's been roasted the way you would roast coffee beans, okay? This is malted barley. That changes the flavor of it. So, we're going to mix these two together. We may take 6 different types of barley and mix them together, or maybe we're not going to use barley. Maybe we're going to use wheat or oats or rye or some other type of grain. But essentially, the whole big picture point is starting the beer process right from the very beginning. You're using a lot of flavors, okay? And you have a lot of different options with flavors to start your beer with. So the whole art and science of making beer, even if you have all the math down, you got all the science down, you got all the equations figured out, the real art and science of making beer is guessing what am I going to get when it's done. Okay? Because as we go through this whole beer making process, you're going to see we're going to keep changing it. We're going to keep adding things and changing the flavors as we go. So until you actually take that last sip, you really don't know what you got. Okay? Now, that barley that is outside there in that grain silo is going to travel through an auger. That's that pipe that's running through the wall here, okay? We're going to dump all of our barley into this, which is a scale. And we'll weigh out our barley here, depending on what style of beer we're making, determines how much we use in the beginning, okay? After that, it's going to flow through this auger into the grist mill there. That's going to crack the barley. And then it's going to come out of there through this auger and head out into the brew house, which is actually where we're going to head next. So follow me again, and again, watch your step right here. You said 2 hours. Alright, so, as I said, this auger coming down the wall there and heading into our mash tun. Now, you heard me call this area the brew house, right? And many of you may be thinking, well, wait a second, the whole building's a brew house, right? And this is where you make beer, it's a brew house. That's not true. You only need 3 things. 3 things to have a brew house. A mash tun, right here. A brew kettle, which is surrounded by fire bricks back there. And then a hot liquor tank. Those 3 things are all you need to have a brew house. And that could be, you can have that in your basement, in your garage, okay? So, the barley, as I said, travels through the auger, we dump it in the mash tun, and then we mix it with hot liquor. Now this isn't Zambuca or Southern Comfort or anything, folks. Okay, it's not that kind of liquor. Hot liquor is a brewing term, and it means hot water. This is hot water, sorry. So, hot water goes in with the barley. The barley steeps, okay, for about an hour or so. And it's converting all of its starch into sugar. So all you get out of this container here is wort. W-O-R-T, not W-A-R-T, okay? You're not drinking wort, folks. It's wort, W-O-R-T. All it is sugar water. That's all it is. It's not alcohol, it's not beer, it's just sugar water, okay? So after that's done steeping, we're going to take that wort, we're going to move it to the brew kettle. Now what's left behind in here is the mash. That looks like spent oatmeal, okay? It's all the grains that are used up now. And what we do, you can see here, is we scrape it all out, and we take it and ship it up to Roxborough. Because that's where everybody in Philly loves the garbage, right? I'm just kidding. See? anybody here from Roxborough? Or Manio? The rich cousin of Roxborough? No, we don't love our Roxborough. Believe it or not, there is an agricultural school in Roxborough. And we like to recycle here as much as possible. So we take all of our spent grain, we ship it up to the Saul Agricultural School in Roxborough, and they feed all their cows and goats and cattle. So we don't throw it away. It actually goes to use to feed animals. Okay? So after we scrape all that out, the wort is now over in the brew kettle. We're going to start boiling it, and we're going to start adding other ingredients. What's that one ingredient you always hear about going into hops, right? I got some pelletized hops right here. I'm going to pass this around. Just smell it. Please do not eat it. That will probably not be pleasant for you. Hops is a plant, and this plant produces a very bitter oil. And the idea of using hops is to try and balance out the bitterness with the sweetness of that sugar wood. Okay? We're trying to achieve a nice balance here. Now also, we're going to start adding other ingredients into our brew here. Has anybody here tried our walt wheat yet? In walt wheat, you have grapefruit peels, you have orange peels, you have chamomile and coriander. Four very pronounced flavors, right? They go in the brew kettle. You can add anything in the brew kettle. Herbs or spices, fruits or vegetables. You can use some kind of like burnt hickory chips, right? In a smoky flavor. You can use coffee. You can put chocolate into it. Check this out. You can even put bacon in it. Bacon and beer in one bottle? Would you ever need anything ever again? Ever. Except for a couch. Right? Alright? So, anything out of the brew kettle, right? Now, we're going to boil that for about 2 hours. After that process is finished, we're going to add yeast. However, you can't throw yeast into a vat of boiling liquid. Everybody get this? You can't throw yeast into a vat of boiling liquid. You have to get the temperature to drop. We do that through the heat exchange system. It's right around the corner here. Cold water will run through this apparatus on one side while the hot water goes to the other, and gradually they swap temperatures. We bring that water down to a temperature that the yeast is thriving. Okay? Now that cold water is obviously hotter, it goes into the hot liquor tank to be reused in the mash tun. So we'll get 2 uses out of our water here. Like I said, we like to recycle as much as possible. So, we're going to take a stroll down to the fermentation units. On the left here, with all the hoses running out of it, is the heat exchanger. From this point forward, things are going to start getting noisy, okay? You'll notice the noise is building here, so please, if you have trouble hearing me, just give me a dirty look or flip me burpee something, okay? So, we have moved our wort down to our fermentation tank. You see it says FU on the tank here, right? That's not a Philly thing, okay? You know how we are in Philly. That's fermentation unit, okay? Don't panic. Now you see 60 bbl on the side here. That means each one of these fermentation units holds 16 barrels of beer, and for us commoners, that means 120 half kegs. All right, so I'm going to drink about that tonight. All right. So we've moved that wort down to our fermentation units, and now we're going to add yeast. Now yeast is a single-celled living organism. You all remember this from biology, right? Nope. Nope. So, yeast grows everywhere, okay? It's on the walls, it's in your clothes, it's in the air. Don't freak out, it's always been that way. But in brewing, you don't just use any yeast. You don't go outside and scrape yeast off the sidewalk, right? Unless you really want to taste Kensington in your beer. Go ahead and lick the sidewalk, see what that tastes like, right? So, you have to have yeast propagated in a laboratory. And there are, again, hundreds of different types of yeast that you can use. And the most important thing is yeast has a flavor. Okay? Yeast, the type of yeast you use will change the flavor of your beer. Alright? Now, did you know that there's only 2 types of beer on the face of the earth? 2 types of beer. You know? Yeah. What are they? Lager and ale. Lagers and ale. Man, that's bad name. Lagers and ale. Every other beer is a subcategory of those 2 styles. And aside from the flavor difference, the way they are fermented is very different. Ales ferment on top of the yeast. Lagers ferment from the bottom at a colder temperature. Lagers are more labor intensive to make, but they take colder temperatures and longer storage time. Okay? Ales are much easier to make. Now, This is where we're going to talk about the brewmaster. He comes in, he's kind of like Dr. Frankenstein. He makes that yeast go to sleep, he brings it back to life, he manipulates it and does things according to what he wants. So we want more fermentation, we want less. Right? So we want more alcohol, we want less alcohol. He will decide all that. But he's monitoring to make sure that yeast is doing its job. And what is the job of yeast? What's it supposed to be doing in here? How? Yes, it's eating sugar and turning it into alcohol. So now we can finally say, at this point of the process, we have that wonderful product known as beer. I got one guy who cares. I got one guy who cares. All right? Okay. Now we have that wonderful product known as beer. Okay, that's still not good. So come on. We have that wonderful product known as beer. Yes, beer. We now have beer. And you should all be thankful because if it were not for beer, many of you wouldn't even be alive. If your parents were like mine. You know what I mean? So you wouldn't even be here. So yes, we now have beer. However, we're not ready to consume it yet. We have a few things we need to do before that happens. We're going to head downstairs and see where that goes on. Please watch your step and hang on to the rails as you go down. Bring it down. The first stop will be the large filter tank right next to here. That is our filter tank. Everything will go through it, but not everything will get filtered. Again, if you look at our water width, if you look at our fleur-de-lis, you'll notice that is kind of cloudy, right? That's because it's an unfiltered beer. Something wrong with it, that's the flavor profile. Okay? If you can see through the beer, this is clear. It's called bright beer, and that beer has this filter, all right? Now, all of you will then go into this tank right here. This is where we fully condition our beer. That means that we put all the carbonation into it. As we do that, we need to name the number of all the bubbles in each tank so we know where they are going into the bottle, okay? Right? Did anybody hear what I just said? Yeah, all right, I'm just making sure you're out. You don't number bubbles. You can't get a sharp and small enough, you know what I mean? So, after we've done conditioning our beer, we're going to move it to the bottling line. And you'll notice that there is a gentleman standing at that line, hand placing bottles on the conveyor belt. As the bottles come down the line, they're first stopped in this glass case, where we wash and sterilize all the bottles. So if you really, the team's not sterile, you don't have a brewery. Simple as that. Everything has to be completely clean. Next up, the filling machine here. This is where a stem goes into the bottle, keeps a little skid in the bottom, fills it to the bottom box, forcing oxygen out of the bottle. So when you have it around, you take a little shower on the outside here, through the labeling machine, and then over to here, we'll see another generator and packaging all our food. We do this all by hand, and we knock out about 180 cases an hour. And we do it by hand, so that we can get it to the bottle. Fill all one time. After that, watch the machine on to the conveyor belt once in a while, and then into the distribution. Now, before I let you go into distribution, I have a quiz for you. Ready for a quiz? Sure, why not? When beer goes into a bottle, what's the temperature? Is it hot? Is it room temperature? Or is it cold? Everything say hot. Room temperature. Cold. How are we going to figure this out? Taste it. Alright, stay here.
You don't want me behind you. I understand.
I know about it.
So excited about it.
All right. So now we're going to find out the truth. Who's the guinea pig? Very easy to be the guinea pig. All right, tell us. Hot, room temperature, or cold? Don't lie.
In between cold and room
Just
temperature?
say, is it room temperature or is it cold?
A little bit.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold.
And warmed up.
Yeah, it warmed up a little bit. But it's cold going into the bottle. You always hear about cold filtered, right? This is a big selling point for some companies. That's because their beer sucks. Okay? All right? I'm just kidding. No. But cold filtered is what normally goes on. You see these in these big, commercials, I won't mention names, but the big ones you see on, the football games and stuff. Cold filtered. Everybody does that, okay? So it's not that big of a deal. So, as I pour you this, now you're drinking raspberry cider, by the way. I have to say that it's not very many moments in your life when you can actually mark on a calendar the greatest day you've ever had. This is the one, okay? Because I don't care if you've been married, I don't care if you had kids, drinking right off of a bottling line is the greatest day of your life. It's very simple, folks. Cheers. We wish everything in life could be this simple. Don't worry, we won't run out. Remember, we're in a brewery. Where'd I leave off? Did I get everybody? That's good. No.
You're so happy right now.
All right, folks. What do you think? How's that taste? Delicious. It's delicious. And the whole point of this, aside from helping you pregame a little bit more, because I know what's going on here. You're going out tonight, you got to prime the pump. I understand. I understand. It's all right. Aside from that is to prove to you that freshness matters. Okay? Freshness matters. These products, these beverages are a food product. They have a shelf life. You want to drink them fresh, especially beer. Especially beer you want to drink fresh. It's not like wine. You don't want the vintage. Okay? So, take a peek outside that door there. You'll see on one of our trucks, Pennsylvania Pale Ale truck. If you open up that truck, you will only find our beer inside of it. And I bring this up because of the freshness. We self-distribute. We're one of the few operations that do that. And every case, every keg that leaves this building is time-stamped. We know when it was created. So, when we go to the bar, the restaurant, the distributor you get your beer from, we're going to see how long our beer's been sitting. And if it's been sitting too long, we will pull that beer. We buy it back. And we put fresh beer in its place. Don't ask me what we do with the beer we pull. Okay? You can probably tell what's happening. This is the second trimester, folks. Second trimester. Okay? So, we pull the beer to make sure you get fresh beer. Okay? Now, the second reason we self-distribute has to do with cost. Be honest, how many people here spent $8 or $9 on a pint of beer? You go into a bar, you see a cool looking tap that you never heard of, you decide to try it, next thing you know you're broke, right? Now the sad truth about that is, you didn't really pay for the craft of that beer. After 4,000 years, how much has beer making really changed, right? Except for the equipment. So, what you're really paying for is how it got from point A to point B. Okay, so when you go out and you see our beer, you should find it cheaper. Now we can't tell what retailers should charge, but be aware that they're getting it cheaper than everybody else because we've eliminated all the middlemen. Okay? When you buy a case of beer from a beer distributor, God forbid it's not one of ours, you get that case, it's been through several sets of hands. Brewery, wholesaler, distributor, so on. Could be sitting in a warehouse for 6 months, who knows? But every set of hands that touches it drives the price up. Okay? So 2 reasons. The freshness and the cost. We keep freshness high and the cost low. Alright? So folks, you may have noticed on this tour that you have not gotten a whole lot of history. So you ready? Here we go. 1682, right before I was born, there was this Quaker guy, okay, over in England, right? And the king owed his father a debt. So this Quaker dude, having a set of cojones, went up to the king and said, "Hey king, man, it would be so badass if I could have my own colony. That would be a great way to pay off that debt, right?" King, not liking Quaker dudes, all right, said, "Dude, shut up, get out of here before I cut your head off. Here's your charter, goodbye." Okay? So he grabs his charter, he jumps in his boat, he sails out of England, he comes on up to Delaware, right? As he's sailing up to Delaware, he notices there are Swedish people living in caves fishing into the Delaware. Did you know there were Swedish people here first? Before the English. See, he knows something, right? So these Swedish guys are fishing, in the Delaware, right? I mean, where else do you get Swedish fish from? Wow. So he lands. He lands right where the Sugar House Casino is, okay? Only he doesn't go in because he's not a gambler. So, he lands and he plans out the city of Philadelphia. He makes it a nice grid. You may have noticed if you've been downtown, it's all 90-degree angles, north, south, east, west. You can't possibly get lost until you get up to Kensington Fishtown where we are, and every road goes ass backwards, right? Now, not coincidentally, this happens to be where all the breweries are too. Think about that. So, he lands, he plans, and then he declares, honest to God, he declares Philadelphia a beer town. He declares it a beer town. This man I'm talking about was a brewer himself. He did make his own beer while he was here. Who am I talking about?
William Penn.
William Penn, right? You see the guy up on City Hall. How many people have seen the guy up on City Hall? Yeah. You can admit it. There's nothing wrong with that. He's got his hand out like this, right? Yeah. He's got his hand out like this, right?
Yeah.
You know what he's pointing at?
Beer.
Us. You seem to have a beer, will you? If you look at that hand, it's pointed directly at this brewery. You look. You swear to God. And to God, right? So, yes, Philadelphia is a beer town. To prove my point even further, in 1683, the first commercial brewery in the colonies or the United States opens here in Philadelphia, okay? Out of all 13 colonies, Pennsylvania is consuming more beer than all the other colonies combined. Huh? Right? And any way you can beat New York, you got to take it. If you're from Philly, you know this. In 1840, the first lager ever made in the United States was made in Philadelphia. You'll see the sign marking the spot right down at Poplar and American Street. Okay, it's still there. In 1885, this building was built, and it was a brewery. It was called Weissbrod and Hess. If you go outside, you will see the original name up in the facade. It's still up there. Okay? Weissbrod and Hess, they made a German-style lager. They went out of business in 1939. In typical Philadelphia fashion, they got all the way through Prohibition and then went out of business. Right? 1939 to 2000, the place is an empty shell. There's nothing here. We came in, outfitted again for brewing, and since 2007, we've been the Philadelphia Brewing Company. Now, I'm proud to say that that room you were in upstairs, the tasting room, which you're about to get back to, I promise, is more than just a pre-gaming room, okay? It is where we do planning for the neighborhood. We host neighborhood cleanups around here, okay? We'll have barbecues and give out beer and soda and stuff to all the people that, participate and help clean up the neighborhood. Civic associations meet upstairs to plan events, okay? To get things together, to make the neighborhood better. Most of the guys that work here live within a few blocks of the place, okay? We're all from the neighborhood. We even work with local growers too. Did you know there's a farm in Kensington called Green Grows Farm right down Cumberland? Yeah. They grow hops for us. If you look out there, you'll see hop vines. You see those vines? We didn't give the gardener the day off, okay? There are hop vines out there. We are going to pluck the hops right off that vine and throw them right in the brew kettle. And in October, we'll have our Harvest from the Hood, the most fresh hop beer you will ever drink in your life. We always have new things coming out. Ken's Lantern, okay, we just sold out of, but it's going to be out again next weekend. We're going to be bottling again this week. So check out PhiladelphiaBrewing.com. You'll get all the info you need. All right, realizing that I've given you the perfect tour, there are no questions. See? I was right. All right, so before I let you go, I have to remind you to visit the gift shop. It's right through the store here. However, this gift shop is different. You know why? It has beer in it. You ain't going to find that at the Museum of Art. You know what I mean? So, you can go out there, unfortunately, yes. You can go out there, you can get a case of beer, right? And you can even make your own variety pack any way you want. All our different flavors, mix and match any way you want, right? You can do the same thing with a 6-pack. We will also fill growlers for you. We have growler bottles out there if you want to buy them here, or we'll fill any growler bottle you got. Just bring it in, we'll fill it for you, okay? If you're feeling really randy and you really want to take on the day, go out there and get yourself a keg. All right? Or if you're starting to get a little, itchy, you're starting to twitch a little bit, you need a bump, you can just go out there and buy 1 bottle of beer and you'll be fine. Okay? The only stipulation is you can't drink it on the premises here, so find yourself an alley down the street and knock it back down. All right? And no, we do not supply the paper bag. All right? No brown bags here. All right? So folks, thank you for taking the tour. I hope you had as much fun as I did. You'll head out that door, like I said, gift shop, retail area, straight ahead, or hang a left, you're back up the steps, up in the tasting room. Feel free to hang out, take your time, finish your tastings, okay? Good?
Yeah.
All right, folks, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
More cider here, baby. Let's not come back. Yes.
Hang on, we're gonna get more stuff. You can get it.
I hope this is good enough for everybody else. And I hope this is good enough for you above all else. I hope that you're waiting